Welcome back again. This is His Word Unveiled. This has been so exciting. I am so grateful that the Lord called me into doing this. I've had some really special moments with the Lord in really evaluating and reflecting on why it is I'm doing this. That simple, it was obedience. I'm just moving in it. There's power in everything, in every part of the Word. So it's not just about reading those big Bible stories, those things that everybody has heard about, and this is really exciting, this story over here and this story. We have to understand that every single thing in the Word holds an adventure. It holds power. It holds truth. So be encouraged with that. And even in Job, I'm so excited with this, and I am learning so much, even outside of just the stories, just the Word specifically, but just what socially, relationally, with where I'm at with the Lord, and my fear and my inadequacies, and making sure I remain humble and always being aware that everything that I share in these videos, it's not about the knowledge that I have. It's about truly just being obedient and being connected with the Lord, so that His Spirit is what is leading these videos, what is speaking, and just the power that is penetrating hearts. And I believe that, and that will happen if I remain obedient and I remain humble and I remain aware of who He is, and keeping Him elevated in His position, that this is all about Him. This Word is all about Him. These videos are all about Him, all about His truth, all about how He wants to share and spread Himself, so that others are infected with the awesome, powerful, reckless love of Himself. So that excites me, and that keeps me going in obedience, and in just all of this whole process. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching these videos. We've been in the book of Job, and if you found this boring, like, dude, I'm sorry. It's so boring, but know that His Word Unveiled, it isn't about, like I said before, it isn't about just hitting the main things, the big things. I wanted to lay this foundation. I really felt the Lord pushing for this and saying, hey, there needs to be something where this is laid out, that every word, an opportunity for people to go through the entire Word and see that truth is weaved throughout it all. Power is just infiltrated in all of it. It's not just these main ideas. It's everything. God chose every word in His Word to be in His Word. Like we have to be reminded of that. We have to understand that. So going through His Word Unveiled, I challenge you, make sure you're taking it slow. Make sure we're not rushing through. Even with books like Job, where we see it's just back and forth, back and forth. Take it slow. Make sure you are reading and being committed to everything, every little thing the Lord can speak, and every word that He chose to be in this book is for a purpose and holds power. So with that, just stick with it. There is truth in everything. There's beauty in everything. So stick with it. Keep getting on these videos, and keep being intentional about the time that you have and reading through. Besides this just discussion time, this is more about you and the Lord, and you finding that personal intimacy and meeting with Him and having an encounter with Him even before we discuss. Just you being committed and disciplined in reading. So yes, go for you, keep going, or go you, keep going, keep moving deeper and deeper into who He is. Okay, Lord, thank you for always allowing there to be an awakening, for your Spirit just awakening us to life and reminding us what is important, reminding us where our focus needs to be, and that is you. And the fact that we can read every word in here and be exposed to who you are, exposed to your heart, your character, the way that you love, the way that you deal with us, the way that you are pulling us in deeper and deeper into relationship, and all that you do, that's who you are. Be with us this time. Just open us up to more and more and more. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, it was a long intro. It's almost 5 minutes, but we've got this. So let's do this. if you've been watching my videos, you know what to do. I'm going to have you read chapters 29, chapter 30, and chapter 31. That is 3 chapters. It's kind of long. There's a lot of repeating in just ways, so the discussion time will be fairly short, but take your time in reading through, reading word for word, getting that sense of that healthy pride and that you are reading, you are taking your time, you are choosing to listen and meet with the Lord. So go ahead and do that, chapters 29, chapters 30, and 31. So all 3 of those will be in our discussion, and that will conclude day 11 for you, for those of you who are following along that chronological plan, reading through the Bible in 1 year. So finishing all 3 of those verses will get you finished with day 11. So go ahead and do that, and then come on back. Okay, our last video, we talked about wisdom and how it was so hard to find, and the main root of finding that wisdom was fearing the Lord. And understanding comes, that understanding things us, God, that understanding in wisdom comes from turning away from evil. So choosing to live a life in and with and for God, that is where wisdom is building that relationship with the Lord and revering Him, understanding who He is. That healthy fear of the Lord brings wisdom. Okay, so chapter 29 jumps into, and like I said, this is going to be a quick discussion because hopefully you read through and just one line gives you the message, and then Job just continues in. So we see this will be the last series of Job responding, Job's venting, Job's complaining, laying everything out, defending himself, all of what he's dealing with, how he's even dealing not so well with suffering. This all comes out in the next 3 chapters that we will be hitting today. Then we get the healthy response of this reproving, and it just gets really good, really good. Okay, so chapter 29 deals with Job remembering what his life used to be. So when you were reading through, you read about Job saying, I remember when my days were so full of just goodness, and people respected me. I was able to speak into the lives of others. I had so much wealth, and I was able to share and to help. I was able to just be a prominent member in the community where people knew me, and things went well. They were smooth. I had relationships with people. I was growing. I was learning. I was just succeeding and just being promoted in all areas, all ways. And he lays that out. All of chapter 29 just speaks that of his where he stood with people, where he stood in life, the things that he had. He was speaking of just the good old days, just on and on and on in that. So hopefully in your reading that, you picked up on all of that, where he's just remembering the glory days. Then in chapter 30, from the they were so good, then in chapter 30 we see this shift where now he starts reflecting on his present pain. So now the comparing, where he's like, this used to be, and now I'm here. So in chapter 30 it's not going back and forth, but 29 he lays out, these were the good days. 30 is, here's the present days, and there's nothing good about them, and they're just full of all of this suffering. They're just, here's me, woe is me, this is happening, everybody's against me. What we've seen through the whole book of Job, he lays out yet again in chapter 30, and it's more of just, this is what's happening to me. In 31 we jump into, this isn't fair because I've been innocent. But with 30 laying out, here's what it is, all this present pain, this present suffering, this present bad stuff happening. We see in verse 9, he jumps into, this is what God has done to me. This is how God has been against me in my present pain. This is because the hand of God has been against me. So verse 9, and now I have become their taunt. I have become a byword to them. They abhor me and stand aloof from me, and they do not refrain from spitting at my face, because he is in God. He has loosed his bowstring and afflicted me. They have cast off the bridle before me. On the right hand their brood arises. They thrust aside my feet and build up against me their ways of destruction. They break up my path. They profit from my destruction. No one restrains them. As through a wide breach they come amid the tempest. They roll on. Terrors are turned against me. They pursue my honor as the wind, and my prosperity has passed away like a cloud. Moving down to verse 20, I cry out to you, so to God, for help, but you do not answer me. I stand up and you turn your attention against me. You have become cruel to me. With the might of your hand you persecute me. You lift me up to the wind and cause me to ride, and you dissolve me in the storm. So again, here's how bad my life is. And here, it's because you've done this to me. It's because you have turned against me. It's because your hand is against me. So that is all laid out in chapter 30. Then I said, like in 31, that, oh, all this is bad. Then it's almost this defense. Like he begins defending himself. He is taking that position where he's saying, okay, my life was good. Now it's horrible because God's hand was against me. God did this to me. And then he says, and through all of this, I never sinned. I don't deserve this. He is asserting his integrity. He is asserting his righteousness. He is asserting his innocence in all of this, in taking that stand, not refraining from complaining because he was innocent. He didn't deserve this. This wasn't his fault. This is all happening for no reason, for no good reason. And he's not liking it, and he lays it out. Starting in verse 5, as he's reading, or as he's speaking, we see that he's saying, you know, if I was guilty, if I did this, and if I did that, and if I was, you know, cruel to widows and orphans, and if I stole from the poor people, and if I was mean to my brother, and if I lusted after women, and if I did all these things, he lays out just specifically, if I did these things, then I will willingly accept my punishment. I will take what I deserve. I will receive all of this suffering. I will receive all of these consequences and this bad stuff that's happening in my life. If I deserved it, if I was guilty, sure, yes, I'll get what's coming to me, but I don't deserve this. So I will speak up against this, and that's the stand that he's taking, and he just goes on and on through the whole chapter of 31, saying, you know, if I have sinned, then I would welcome this suffering, but I haven't. And he is just not backing down. He is making sure that those around him and God know that he is at right. He was not at fault. What's super interesting too, at the end of Job chapter 31, I'll just read starting at verse 38. If my land cries out against me and its furrows weep together, if I have eaten its fruit without money, or have caused its owners to lose their lives, let briars grow instead of wheat, and stinkweed instead of barley. So he is saying again, you know, if I would have done all these things, then yes, let everything fall apart. Let my life crumble, but ain't so. And he's saying, would gladly take it, but I don't deserve this. Just the same message. Then, the end of verse 40. I'll just read verse 40 again. It says, then let briars grow instead of wheat, and stinkweed instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. That is absolutely fascinating to me that it finishes it up. So it's like Job is at his end. He has complained so much. He has just puked all of this venting and complaint and just defending himself, just throwing it out there as raw and ugly as it comes, and asserting his innocence and all of this. And then it simply says, the words of Job are ended. He's done. He had to make sure he got it all out, that it was clear, that he was understood, that people heard him, saying what it took to get them to agree with him. Then it says the words of Job are ended. And that's how those chapters conclude. That's how Job in defending himself is ended. And from here on out to the rest of the book of Job, we do not see Job speaking as he has been and just puking all this up as he has been through this whole book and explaining his suffering and taking that stance of defending himself, of allowing that pride to come up and just getting overly zealous with his being righteous and what he deserves. The words of Job are ended, and they are ended. And I'm so excited for our next videos and what progresses out of this. Finally, Job shuts his mouth. So finally, things can happen. That's how his Word Unveiled will continue to move forward in this. Finally, when we shut our mouths, that's when things happen. That's when we actually hear. That's when we are listening to God and we hear and we are ready to move. We're ready for things to be changed. We're ready for things to happen, to be able to move forward, for healing to come, for restoration to come. That's when things happen. When our words end. That's when power comes. That's when transformation comes on the scene of our lives. That's when God is able. That's when we give him freedom to say, all right, now she's quiet. Now he's quiet. Now I can do something. Now I can just pour out what I'm doing. Now I can reveal things. Now I can explain things in nothing short of my love being the message. Oh, that's where it's at. Can we just learn to shut our mouths? Right? No matter what we're feeling, let's shut our mouths and let's focus on what matters. Let's focus on who he is, ready to listen, ready to receive, ready to absolutely receive his transforming power and healing and comfort in the midst of our suffering. That's where it's at. So that is exciting, and we have so much more. So stick with me. Thank you for getting on here and watching these videos. Thank you for walking this out with me. And even in the boring moments, the seemingly boring moments of Job, thank you for getting all the way up to this point. It's only going to get better and better. So come back tomorrow. Thank you again for being here, for doing this with me, just doing life and resting in him and getting a grip on his power, his just incredible awesomeness. So hopefully I will see you tomorrow. See ya.